We are really excited to bring you this AMA. Just to briefly describe an AMA or ask me anything, we have set up a series of AMAs to bring key leaders and folks from Dynamics 365 application teams. These leaders will share their strategy, vision, roadmap, and product feature and functionality. And it is a great opportunity also for you all to ask questions directly from these leaders. Real quick on the AMA format, we will start with a presentation. Then we have also collected questions online that we'll be answering in this AMA session. Other questions that you would like to ask the key leaders, please type them out in the chat. And there's no audio conversations allowed for this. And any leftover questions, we'll be taking those over in the community. Our code of conduct, just real quick for this AMA session, is that this is being recorded. If you don't consent to getting your name or your questions shown up in the recording, please disconnect from the meeting right now. We will also give you a survey at the end of this session, so you can tell us how well we are doing and how we can continue to improve these AMA sessions. And now to the exciting part, I would love to bring the key leader here. We are thrilled to have Lori Lamkin to join us today. She has held various leadership positions in Microsoft and currently is the VP of Dynamics 365 Marketing application. And the community will have a chance today to listen to her and then ask her questions. Also, real quick, helping her out, supporting her is Gianugo, who is a GPM also in Dynamics Marketing team and will be supporting Lori in any of the questions that the community have for her. So with that, I will hand it over to Lori.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here today. I'm very excited to be here and talk about where we're going with Dynamics for Marketing. I've been here on the team for about a year and a quarter now. I hope you've seen some great momentum in terms of what we're doing in terms of customer value delivery and seeing us accelerate more and more value in the product with every wave of release notes. And I realized we just published this last one, so I thought I'd frame it a little bit into the why about what we're doing and talk a little bit about then a little bit the what. And then, like I say, get your questions ready. I'm ready to answer what I can. And what I can't, I'll be sure to follow up on. Let's see, what do I have here? Okay. So first of all, what's going on in the world of marketing automation? Clearly, the ability to interact face-to-face has been severely limited in the last year, and businesses have needed to pivot in how they work and how they interact with their customers, and providing more digital options and providing more ways to reach them at scale. I think when COVID first hit, I don't know how many messages I had in my inbox. It seemed like every CEO from every company I ever bought something with or interacted with had to tell me, hey, we're still in business and here's how you do business with us now that the world has changed. And but the thing that hasn't changed is customer expectations. Through these interactions, customers still expect to be known and known personally and known about the history they've had with that company and the issues that they're having or the wants or needs or their preferences. And so that customer engagement has become a real expectation from interacting with any human in any forum, but it's also been something that in COVID times we really need to make sure we can do this at scale. And so, you know, looking at, okay, how do I, in this environment, make sure that I have impactful campaigns and with the ROI and that is consistent across various touch points that customers have with me so that I can ensure that my brand and our relationship is strengthened as a result from these different interactions. And throughout all of this, the magic that is happening is we can collect more data on customers and what they're doing with your company And through that data, we can be so much smarter with these interactions, and we can do this at scale versus trying to send customers that are kind of similar through the pipeline and through some sort of journey. We can really create more personalized and customized experiences for what customers expect these days. And the thing is that in this time, people are really remembering how they're treated by different companies and these interactions really matter during this period of time. So I think no time like the present, where both the companies are trying to pivot as well as the customers are more sensitive to how they're being treated as individuals with individual needs. So let's see, I think I've got a box missing. There we go. I'll just build out the slide. So let's talk about what we have to offer here in terms of the Dynamics suite and how it differs from our competition. We really have a cohesive stack end to end. If you've seen any of James's presentations lately, he'll go into this quite a bit, that both Office and Dynamics are all built on a great customizable platform that in turn is built on Microsoft Azure that provides a global footprint larger than any other cloud in terms of availability and geos, that has the brand reputation of trust and delivers on that. And with our experiences, we can provide this no cliffs extensibility all the way down to the nuts and bolts of Azure that helps you create apps, experiences for your teams that are unique and for your specific business, but that are integrated and cohesive as a whole. And you get a lot of things that don't require a lot of custom work, like breaking down silos between your various departments, because all of the data is shared and your teams can be on the same page with what exactly has been happening with the customer immediately. Our competition has been doing a lot of acquisition and assembly to try to plug these various holes, and they are scattered not just in siloed applications, but often redundant functionality, and certainly are landing on sometimes data centers that are being run manually, and sometimes different public clouds. And so it leaves a lot for people adopting these applications in order to stitch them together to get some level of cohesiveness and integration. And basically that has a big impact on the customer experience here, because latency in the integration, flakiness, all of that has direct impact on customers and their experience with the company. And so our approach is really, what we want to do is take all of this rich customer data that we now have and that we keep building on, and use AI to make that really simple for just the everyday business user to be able to be just smarter, to get more recommendations, to get more help, to provide these great experiences. Even without individual expertise here, we can start smart. And that we will build on this by removing those silos and making sure departments can work together, remove all of this stitching together or integration that's necessary in order to achieve the experience you're looking for. Of course, we're doing all of this on a very modern architecture. We're not having to go bring forward 10 years of legacy MarTech software forward into this new world. It's all coming here right from scratch, and so it is extremely robust and built for the future. And like I said, it's built on that enterprise trust with the no cliffs power platform, bringing it all together. And in the end, what we're really looking for is that you can create amazing experiences that create strong relationships that are ongoing, that achieve not just an individual interaction success like a sale, or but actually help the customers keep returning to your business. So let's talk a little bit about Wave 1 and the release notes that we're just pushing out right now. We have a lot of exciting new things here coming, and building on that strategy that I just went through, we have three main themes that we've heard from our existing customers, and we're looking at industry trends that we are building on in our product. Deeper personalization, providing more reach to customers where they are, and providing better analytics to help you fine-tune and optimize and get the most out of your customer interactions. So I'll go into some highlights from the release notes on each of these really quickly here. So on deeper personalization, personalization has been a little bit of a black art, I would say. Like sometimes you got to go find a developer to go help you actually get the content to be more dynamic and use tokens effectively, and you're starting to write curly braces and learning data models and starting to write code at some point. And we're trying to really up level that into an experience that's really just point and click, and that taps into a rich set of data sources, so that we bring this into a really easy experience for any user to be able to do independently. We also are going to be, expanding beyond. This is one of our most popular requests of all time, is that the current marketing automation journeys are focused on contacts, and we're looking at expanding that for leads and opportunities, and so that'll really open up a lot of blockers that we're seeing today to use new journeys. So that's kind of our deeper personalization side. On more channels, I'm really excited to talk about this brand new email editor experience. We've heard from all of you how much time you spent in authoring your content, and the expectations that you have on how visually appealing that needs to be, how reliable, how stable. And what we've said is, let's not just go build an email editor like all of the other ones that are out there. Let's take this data, customer data that we have, and let's take the success rate that we know about with content and with images and with content fragments, and let's go and help you as you're writing your content. Provide recommendations that help you make your content more engaging based on past experiences and based on context of what you're writing. And I think this really revolutionizes content authoring by bringing AI into it and helping you. Let's see. So the other thing is that we're backing our whole system with a digital asset library that automatically tags images for you, and that helps you for when you are actually authoring your content, that we can bring the relevant images in through the authoring experiences and provide a library of things that are relevant to what you're typing, that you can just insert in your email or choose something different. But of course, the digital asset library has everything you would expect from that, from versioning and sharing, and it helps keep your brand message consistent across any team in your organization that is using this content digital asset library. And Dynamics for Commerce is also using the same system. So if you've adopted both of those products, it's really easy for your e-commerce and for your marketing communications to really be in sync on the same page. So very excited to talk about that. And of course, everybody wants to orchestrate to more of these different channels. You'll see in the preview right now, push notifications and SMS are in the early access, and so you can start playing with that and giving us feedback on those two more modern ways of interfacing with customers. And we will continue to expand our reach and deliver more channels over time. Very important theme for us to execute on. And then the last theme is really about analytics, which we've had lots of feedback on specific out-of-box reports that people are looking for. So I'm happy to say that we're starting to deliver more and more of those over time. We're taking it, we have a lot of low-level analytics today, trying to raise that to a higher level of aggregation to talk about how are things tracking to your business goals versus individual, just the email open statistics and things like that. And then you can also monitor individual journey performance as well as channel performance through KPIs, not just the detailed metrics, and helping you with experimentation on the next action in order to optimize your results. So I'm very excited about this big set of work that we're talking about here in January. I'm very excited. I encourage all of you to stay tuned at Ignite, where we'll be going through many demos and a few more things that we have up our sleeve that I can't disclose right now. So you can ask me anything, but some things I can't answer for another couple weeks. So I really encourage you to attend our marketing sessions at Ignite and learn even more about where we're going and some more value that we're delivering. So with that, that's just the brief overview, really quick whirlwind through the release notes and what we're delivering here in early access. And I would love at this point to open it up to questions.
One of the questions was, will the recording be available to us and sent to us? And so this recording will be posted in the community, and so users can find it and view it at a later time as well. But let's get into the business questions. The first question was actually we received some of the questions in advance through the survey link, and then we're taking live questions as well. So one of the first ones we have, what's your roadmap for native integration with the big social platforms like Facebook and Instagram?
Oh yeah, so we know we already have LinkedIn posting and Facebook posting integration, and Instagram is the next one on our list. And it's not in early access, but it is, we do monthly updates, and we will roll it out as soon as it's ready. And I'm hoping it'll be ready, in the March, April timeframe. So we've heard that loud and clear, and we're trying to be very aggressive with our release schedule, but we only put things in the release notes that we know are getting pushed out in early access. So I'm very excited to have Instagram publishing.
Great, cool. We also have Danugo answering questions, so this one might be for you. We have a client who used Dynamics 365 for their email campaigns, and they would like us to help them design the email blast with their graphic studio. They're using Citrix Workspace and gave us all the login info, but we're working on a Mac platform and aren't able to connect even when downloading the new apps. Is there a way we could log directly into their Dynamics software, or if that's not possible, get our own version to design the emails and upload it to the client tenant? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, sure. I can try and take this. Good morning, everyone. So Dynamics 365 for Marketing is a web application, and it is fully supported on Mac and Mac browsers. I'm not sure what is the app they are referring to and the latest version of the app. If they are accessing the online version as they should and they have the credential, it should just work. I'd be more than happy to have them reach out directly or post to the community and try to support them and see what's happening. But definitely this is a scenario that is supported and should work. We have plenty of customers that are working with external agencies and third parties that are providing content and templates. And indeed, this is supported. It should work. Please feel free to open a support ticket or reach out directly to us, and we'll help you out.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, I see one in chat that we also got in advance that you might be able to answer for us, Lori. We in the community used Eventbrite to register for this event, and we received the question why we didn't use the Dynamics 365 Marketing app.
Yeah, why didn't you use the Dynamics 365 Marketing app? You should be using it.
You're learning from the AMA as well.
That's going to change. No, we've had a ton of adoption of Dynamics 365 Marketing and Teams within Microsoft internal event management. And I was just browsing through that ahead of this meeting where Microsoft Store holds their events that way. The Garage does. Our own internal IT team runs events with event management. And I know I was just talking to our global campaign team who is picking up events management. So and Xbox uses it for a series of events. So you know, to me, what I've seen is amazing adoption internally of our event management solution, but we haven't gotten to everybody, including our own MVP community. We use it to manage those events. So we need to expand to this one, and I think you know, hopefully we can make that happen here in the next couple AMAs.
We got to follow up on the social question. So just before we move on from social media, there was a question about WhatsApp as well, you know, emerging for.
Yeah, WhatsApp is another channel that we would love to have orchestration to and be able to publish to. And we don't have it yet in this wave. It's on our backlog. We keep hearing it, so it's becoming more and more important, but not quite yet, folks. Hang on.
Okay, great. And we'll switch over from one of the submitted questions to Janugo. Is there a way to add an upload field to a Dynamics marketing form that will be hosted on an external like WordPress site? As an example, the client would like to create a marketing form to embed in their website, and visitors will populate this form and attach relevant documents. Existing functionality allows the creation of forms and embedding them, but I couldn't find a way to allow users to add a file upload field.
Yes, so this question is about external forms that are hosted on a different website that are using what in marketing we call the capture functionality, where or alternatively the embed functionality. So the difference is that in the first case, in the embed case, you create a form in Dynamics for Marketing and then you publish it on an external website. In the other case, that's when you have an existing form and you're just mapping the fields to data in CDS. So in both cases, it is possible. We have customers that have done it. However, it's not possible directly through the UX interface. The reason for that is that the mapping of an upload field where you have no idea what's coming in, it's going to be binary data, et cetera, well, that mapping needs to be done by hand manually at the CDS level through customizations. Again, I'd be happy to walk you through the process on how to do it. We do have customers that are doing it, but on the other hand, I would also encourage you to look at the new capabilities in the digital asset library, because that's a great destination for this type of binary content. So if you want to store it and tag it and having even AI tagged, well, that will be the perfect place to store any binary content that you get from your users, be it pictures, documents, or whatever you may need.
Thankful to Janugo to be here to answer all these detailed technical questions. So thank you, Janugo.
No problem.
The next one came in by a chat, and I'll let you decide who's best to answer it. Is the campaign entity going to be used more, or something new being added to replace it? Lots of clients want to bind various marketing activities together, usually regarding ROI.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you know.
I can take it. I can take it, Lori. So the campaign entity is here to stay. So yes, you can use it. You can rely on it. However, I will also build on the anticipation and little teaser that Lori gave you on upcoming features that will be announced shortly. And especially when it comes to the idea of having various marketing activities coming under the same umbrella, being able to see better analytics on what your customers are doing and where. Yeah, I would encourage you to wait a few more weeks and hear more about it. But in the meantime, the structure underneath it, so that the data mapping is something that you can rely on.
So Laura, we have one for you. Are there any plans to capture IP addresses and UTM in Dynamics 365 Marketing? We currently have to combine Google Analytics with marketing interactions, which duplicates records and causes confusion. It would be better if we had a more complete story for campaign monitoring. Is customer insights the answer? And if so, do you need to provide customers with the narrative?
Yeah, I guess what I would want to know is what you're looking to get out of the IP address, because currently we grab the IP address and we take out the unique customer information as well as the geolocation information and provide that and store that in our common data service. And Customer Insights does the same thing for their customer profile information. And so the reason we do that and don't actually store the IP address for your access as well is because of privacy concerns. And that is something that people count on and is legally required in many countries. So good to stay on the course on that. So we have no plans to directly hand over the IP address for that reason, because we're building things that you know can be compliant and secure and trustworthy for customers. So if there's data that you want out of that we're not providing now, that's the key thing to ask for in our ideas forum.
So we have some general licensing questions. One of the questions submitted had 7 parts, so I'm not going to try to overload you, but I'll try to summarize. And I'll go through 2 or 3 questions, and maybe you can answer them as a group. When will we see the numerous product name changes stopped? This is very confusing. And why is a mixed reality products like guides and remote assist under Dynamics 365? Maybe you could speak to
Let me just start with those. That seems like you can add more, but before you get too far, I'll start forgetting the questions that you asked.
Right.
So stop. Let me see. The first one was, why do we keep changing the names of things? And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we do that. I'm not really, that's not really what I've been driving. But I can say, I don't think, Dynamics for Marketing came out in, almost 3 years ago, and we haven't changed our name. So we're doing good. We have a good track record here in Dynamics for Marketing. But yes, the branding folks do come through and update things. And I completely get that it's, confusing. I just called things the Common Data Service, and really I should be calling them Dataverse. So it confuses all of us. I'm right there with you on that. The other question was about remote assist and why it's part of Dynamics 365. And the reason is that we think that a lot of our mixed reality technology is really like data and AI is a huge innovation that's going to help all of our workers and frontline workers in particular that do things like field service, and I think that's why we want to utilize that technology in those scenarios broadly across our app family to transform our applications to not just be note-taking applications where there's forms and you're submitting data and great, so that you can compile a bunch of data on what's happening in your organization. We're trying to turn that upside down where we have ways to instrument and automatically collect this data from sources from everywhere, from your websites, from your apps, from actually, virtual reality sort of experiences that are, physical experiences. And our mixed reality products help with this level of collecting observational data that can help round out the picture of what's happening. And we see that as the foundation of transforming our apps so that they aren't humans inputting data, but the data is already collected and the experiences in the apps are about helping and assisting humans to be more effective based on that data. So it's really a foundational element to that level of transformation.
Great, thank you. And then continuing that theme around licensing, one of the questions that we got was very specific to the marketing app. If you buy the standalone app, how much Dataverse capacity do you get to start with? This wasn't in the February licensing guide.
I don't know. Top of my
And we
head.
might have to follow up to answer that question.
I think we should take that as a follow-up because I don't know off the top of my head, and I want to be sure I give a completely accurate answer to such a precise question. And I am working from home, and I'm hearing the landscaping team show up. So of course, you know, that's terrible. So I apologize if I start being very loud, and I'll try to, if that happens, I'll start muting myself in between. COVID, you know.
Yes, actually, and we had a question. We've had several questions around Teams, and around one of them was around COVID. What changes in the Microsoft and Dynamics 365 Teams during the COVID pandemic worked extremely well that you can share or recommend for others who are doing something similar? And then we had another question related to Teams. There was a delay in December that was posted in the chat. And do you have, for a rollout with Teams and event management, do you have an updated timeline for that?
Okay, those are two radically different questions.
Okay.
So I can only promise to remember one, and I'll start with the tips and tricks to running teams in COVID times. And I by no means am an expert. I feel like it's been easy for Microsoft in some ways. The Dynamics for Marketing team, it has 2/3 of the team is located in Prague, and another third of the team is located in Seattle. And then, of course, we have 1Z, 2Z remote workers as well. But the bulk of the team is located in 2 development centers that have had to just run meetings through Microsoft Teams products and learn, you know, how to communicate a lot digitally, because we're not even on the same time zone. You know, Prague is 9 hours ahead, so that's a little awkward time zone difference, so that we have to record meetings and so other people can watch them later, or just do a lot through our email, and do a lot for, you know, packing in the stuff when we can talk. But, you know, we do a lot of our work, coding, testing, designing, can easily be done from home. But nothing really replaces that face-to-face connection. And so while it was easier for us to transition because we were already working with technology to help us connect, it's just nothing replaces that face-to-face. It has been so hard, I think, on people who are most get energy around being with other people, to just look at a screen all day. I know that the first after the first month or so of working online all day, I was like, you know, I'm in meetings all day. It's not that different, but my neck started hurting. It was like all locked up, because when I'm in a meeting, I look to my left, I look to my right, you know, I move around, I move between meetings, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just frozen staring at that screen all day. And so basically what I've learned is tips and tricks is around self-care, you know, learning how to, I got myself a desk that comes up and down so I can stand at it. I got myself another bigger monitor, so I now have 3 monitors here, so it helps me move my neck around. You know, I have, of course, a Peloton like everybody in the United States has, you know, these days. And I do pop out and do it for 20, 30 minutes and then pop back into work if I can get a little break. And I've asked my admin running my calendar to just say, make sure I get an hour and a half every morning, because I just know myself, I need to get that exercise and my days start super early. So if I don't get it in the middle, then I will, it's going to be really hard to be motivated to do it at the end. So the first big tip I have is self-care. If you can take care of yourself, then you have a better chance of being able to take care of others and your coworkers. So that would be the first thing that I think I noticed. Second, I think it's really hard to tell what's going on in the team, and no more time more important than in COVID times, when people are really struggling with the limits that have been placed on them, with the environment that they're working in that is distracting. Like I'm talking about the landscapers. My mom was living with us for 6 months out of the COVID thing, and that is crazy making in its own way. And you know, people have everybody has their individual things, young children or whatever that they're trying to homeschool now or school online. So it's tough, and being sensitive and patient to that. I feel like we've all learned that that this happens, and to try to understand what's going on with folks. And then I also feel like what we've done is you know, in order to try to connect better with that, I hold a lot of these things. I also call them Ask Me Anythings, and I hold them at like smaller team levels amongst the teams, just so that they can ask me questions and I can do roundtables with them about sharing tips and tricks about how to online learning with teenagers, or things like that, that helps connect not just around the business problems we're having, but a little bit socially as well. So I try to go around the various teams that are part of my organization to try to get a deeper level of connection, in addition to kind of what we call our all hands meetings that we pull people together. And then lastly, I would say for morale events, we used to hold what we called morale events, and that would be maybe drinks and appetizers after work on a Friday, or after an all hands meeting, or bringing in bagels in the morning, or getting together and going bowling, or different things like that. And all of that, it was out the window. And so, you know, we gave people some gift cards, or you know, sent them candy baskets at Christmas and things like that. And it's just really not the same. And to kind of replace the social interaction, we have these little luncheons. And so we have a couple that I'm really grateful to the team for organizing, including Saba, who I think is even on the call, and Katie, both organize these things where it's like, hey, come and introduce your pet. You know, and so everybody is on the Teams call and, you know, introducing their pet, or introducing their kids, or cooking together, or, you know, just kind of trying to emulate some of these things that we can do online. We have a lunch and demos session every Friday where people demo what they've been building. These things are helping. You know, nothing replaces that face-to-face, but I thought I'd throw out a few things that we've been doing off of the top of my head. It's still a struggle, but it's a few things to try. And I'm going to try one last thing, which is, because my team's in Prague, and we're still experimenting with all this stuff, I thought I would, by now I would have traveled at least 3 times to visit them face to face. And so I'm going to do something called virtual traveling, and I'm going to shift my hours for to be on Prague time for a couple of, you know, for a week or something like that, just as if I was traveling there, and take meetings on their hours. Maybe I'll shift to start at 4 a.m. my time or something like that. So just trying to be a little bit flexible and accommodating to drive some personal connection. So that's a bunch of random ideas and things we've tried, and hopefully you can get some tidbits that might work for you.
Great, that's pretty insightful. So I will repeat the other question because it was drastically different.
Yes.
So why the rollout of webinar features, event registering and reporting in Microsoft Teams meeting was delayed from December last year? Is there an expected new timeline to roll out these webinar features?
I don't know. Like, I didn't know what we delayed last year into it, but usually when we delay things, we're pushing them out just to the next month's release. So that's another one that I think I'm going to have to go follow up, because I couldn't even. Sonia, your audio for me is a little crackly, so I couldn't even catch the whole feature. So if we can just take a note of that, and then I can reply publicly in the published Q&A, that would be great.
Okay, great. And we've got about 20 minutes left, so I'm going to switch back to some of those that were submitted in advance as well. Can you provide a flow to move assets between environments rather than over simple guidance? There is no point in every customer developing this individually.
That's a good point. We haven't done that. It's not on our near-term backlog, but it's a good idea. I think we should consider something. I don't know, Janugo, if you know anything, if it's so unique for each environment that that's hard to do or what.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, most of, if not all of our customers heavily rely on CDS customizations and extensions, et cetera, et cetera. So providing a vanilla flow that will migrate the vanilla assets would be of little use. What we can certainly do, and in fact, I brought this comment to the team and we already agreed that we should do it, is provide a flow template so that instead of having you copying and pasting the guidance that we have on the documentation and create a flow on your own, we can give you a started flow. It will need to be customized to suit your needs unless you have a perfectly vanilla installation, but it will be more useful than and immediately actionable rather than a documentation page.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it can also, we could put it out on GitHub as well or something like that.
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay. Are you able to hear me okay?
You're very faint.
You're not crackly, but you're faint.
Is crackly better?
Oh, now you're better. You're very
okay,
clear.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. So one of the next questions that we have is from a community member who would really like to understand how to move copy emails, pages, forms, and the journey between environments, which tables are involved, and they also need to be able to filter and select which options are copied.
I think that's another one for you.
Yeah, and that's actually very similar to the previous one. We have documentation that tells you how to do it and how to do it with flow and what are the tables involved. Again, this relates to what we are shipping out of the box. But if you've done customizations, if you've gone in CDS and created new relationship, you want to make sure that you are bringing those relationships in. Otherwise, you're going to have dangling references and issues with missing data, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the recommended way of doing it, using flow to do the migration. And making sure, however, that on top of the guidance that we provide you, you also have been taking care of every customizations that you may have done.
Okay, great. And I think this next one might be a little technical. I'm entering first name and last name field value in the dynamic CRM main form. I want to update automatic value in full name without clicking the save button. How can I do this?
Yeah, I can take that, Laurie, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So if I understand it correctly, the scenario is that you have your form where you have one box for the first name, one box for the last name. As soon as the customer fills them both, you want another box to be automatically filled with a combination. So you have Janugo, you have Ravellino, and then you see Janugo, Ravellino all together. So we don't have that feature in the form designer. However, what we do have is the ability to add custom JavaScript to the forms. So it would be possible to achieve that result by writing a simple JavaScript snippet that ships with the forms and intercepts that, yes, those two fields have been filled, so now I can fill the third one automatically.
So we have a question submitted in chat about geolocation and which country affects how we score the lead, which is similar to a question we had submitted in advance asking about multi-country and language. Currently, we have to duplicate everything, forms, mail, pages, etc., for language and country. This is for Europe and Africa regions. By doing this, we lose valuable information and have to perform analysis outside manually. Are there any plans in this area?
I think this is the same question about the IP address, and I think you're looking for geolocation specifically at the individual level. And I think Janugo already took that question offline. I'm reading the chat right now to go and make sure we dig in and make sure we understand exactly what we're looking for and what we're providing and get into the details there.
Okay, great.
Laura, if I may, there is actually a second question there, which is about localization, and internationalization. So how to provide content in different languages to different people. And my understanding from the question that I've read offline is that this particular customer is concerned with having to maintain different emails that map to different journeys, that map to different forms, depending on what is the language of the user, which I appreciate can be a big issue with places like Europe, for example, where I come from. So in marketing, there are several ways to address this issue, although I will say that we don't have a complete internationalization framework. However, for example, with forms, what you can do and what customers are doing is when you create a form, you just keep duplicating the fields. So you will have one field that is called first name in English, and then you have another field that is called nome for Italian, for example, and then you're going to map them both to the same CDS field. And again, through JavaScript, you're only going to show the fields that map to the user language. For emails, another way of doing it is by using dynamic content. Again, part of the feature is available in the UI, where you're going to be able to have the same snippet in different languages, right? And then in the email body, you will need to go right into the code and write conditional code. There is guidance on our documentation website on how to get attributes from the contact, such as the preferred language, and then decide which snippet to build in. At that point, that should allow you to have a single journey that maps to every possible language, and then at least mitigate or manage this issue.
Great, thank you for that additional clarification. So we've got maybe time for one more question. Let me just scroll through chat. I saw you were looking in chat as well, so I don't know if there's any that you saw. I think we've answered. I see a new one. Have you got any great new logos who signed up for D365 Marketing? Do we have global user numbers available we can use to help us sell it?
Yeah, so as soon as we get logos, getting an echo. So Sonia, can you mute just for a second? And yeah, thank you. As soon as we get new logos approved, we put them on the website. You know, that's kind of our plan there so that we can share them immediately. Lots of customers are interested in being references, but don't go all the way to giving us logos to put on the website. So we have a lot of really exciting customers to talk about. And we don't publish the exact numbers of our current usage, but what I can tell you is that we are growing at an exponential rate. We grew at over 200% year over year last fiscal year to, the fiscal year prior to fiscal year 2020. We're now in fiscal year 2021, and we're anticipating growing 300% on top of that. So our growth rate is growing as well. So I'm very, very bullish. This is, of course, my landscaping crew coming through, but I'm grateful that they do that.
Okay, great. Well, maybe we can switch to Janugo for one last question for him. Let me go ahead and post that one. Do you think it's important to give customers useful, usable marketing stats out of the box? One thing Dynamics tends to be lacking is out-of-the-box reporting in any module. And I think Lori addressed this in her presentation as we kicked off the call this morning. Obviously, the line is always the customer can make whatever reports, dashboards they want. But that disappoints the customers, yeah.
I appreciate that. of course, it's always about walking a fine line about what type of analytics we can provide out of the box versus what is the ability of building beautiful Power BI reports that map exactly to the KPI and the metrics that you want. So we may have over-indexed on the ability to provide those data and then leaving it to the customer to build the reports that they want. It's good feedback on getting better and better on actionable telemetry and analytics that we can provide over and over. So please keep it coming. We see that we have a lot of questions coming from users about what we call the contact and lead insights. So the integrating with the activity timeline, customer insights has been brought into the conversation, and that is definitely going to help. It's a fantastic product that helps a lot in tracking what your users do, and the integration with marketing is there and will only become better over time. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone to definitely keep us on our toes and make sure that we understand what type of analytics are more relevant, so that we don't also drown you in a sea of data and charts that may look beautiful on product documentation, but then they are hardly actionable when it comes to the day-to-day usage of the product. I don't know, Lori, if you want to add something on this.
I think that's great. I, of course, heard very little of the beginning of the question, and I just want to reiterate where our goal is to grow 300% and exceed that growth rate for Dynamics marketing. So I think it's a great product to bet on, and we have some really exciting things coming. And I really am thankful for all the community engagement. Please submit things on the IDEA website, as well as, communicating, like we said, on the specific follow-ups in today's call. We look at that rigorously. We look at our product stat feedback very rigorously. So if you are giving us feedback, we are listening hard, and I encourage you to give us more. Thank you.
So I would like to thank, first of all, Lori and Janogo for taking the time to come and talk to the community. And wow, what wonderful questions we had today. So thanks to the community for bringing so many questions. It seemed like we're still not done. So we will be posting those to the marketing area of the community. So please go visit community.dynamics.com and follow to the marketing app area of the community, and you can post those questions as discussions, and we'll make sure that they get answered. And we are really excited about this AMA series. Just going to do a quick plug here. We are looking forward to leaders like Lori coming and talking about their products. We are going to have Georg coming from the finance application. He's the GM for finance application in a couple of weeks. So hoping to see most of the community folks returning and asking questions from our leaders who are managing these products within Microsoft. So thank you all. Just real quick, we would love to get some feedback from you all. So there's a survey link that we are showing in the slide here, aka.ms/community MKTGAMA. Please go and help us with answering those questions. Should be a quick survey. We are using our own product. How cool is that? We're using Dynamics 365 Customer Voice for this survey. If you haven't tried it out, you should try Customer Voice too. And help us improve these AMA sessions as we bring them to you and bring product information and bring the leaders to talk to you. Thank you. We didn't thank two key people who have been managing this in the background. I do want to thank Sonia for taking all the questions and posting it to Lori and Gianogo, and Daniel for doing a wonderful job of being a producer and keeping all of us on track throughout this AMA session. So thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. And I posted some links into the chat. One of the links that I posted is to join the community at the Microsoft marketing community, and you can ask questions there. There are a lot of experts and peers that are struggling or have found solutions to issues that you're looking at. And also the marketing product team does an amazing job within the community. They're probably one of the most involved product teams in answering questions in our forums there. All right, with that, we'll give you a few minutes back, and thank you all for attending.